Hi guys, welcome back once again to another video. And we are going to be talking about a different rabbit hole I fell into this week. So first and foremost, I want to give you a warm thank you to the people that previously watched the video I made on charter schools. It means the world that people are genuinely interested in things I have to say, even if it's 40, 50 people. It's great. And once again, I'm here to remind you that this gets better and better with each episode, each passing video, baby. And yes, today your girl got a microphone. How exciting! But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I want to start the video off by giving a brief disclaimer, and that is it talks about essay involving minors or religious organizations taking advantage of people and children triggers you, or it's really just not your cup of tea, then click out of this video and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. So today we're going to be talking about La Luz del Mundo. You guys, when I tell you, this wasn't going to be my original video topic because I wanted to talk about the Franklin cover up, which I will at one point, but I feel like I'm not there yet. Like, I want to reach a broader audience before I bring that one up because I know so much about it and I've been researching that case ever since I was in college. But if you have no time, if you have a lot of time like me and you have nothing to do, I urge you to look into that case. It leaves you extremely paranoid and scared. But anyways, we'll get into that later. What I'm talking about today is La Luz del Mundo, and that translates to the light of the world. If you guys have heard about this religion, I want you to let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't and it's the very first time, I also want to know. So, today we're going to be focusing on religious fanatism and how I say was undermined and how the people funded the lavish lifestyle of who they called their apostle. Now, I'm going to go ahead and draw a timeline for you guys of events because there's so much to cover, but I want to keep the storyline consistent and straight. That way you guys know what and who I'm talking about because there's a lot of people involved and there's a lot of things that happen, so I don't want it to get too distracting with a lot of information. So first we're gonna condense this down to a timeline, and I'm gonna be telling you a little bit about this church, which honestly, it's at this point it's considered a cult, or that's what most of the media refers it to. But anyways, um, this church was founded in 1926, and it started with Eusebio Joaquin Gonzalez, who literally just a random man. He said that he had a vision one day. God showed it. I really don't remember. It was blurry. He either had a vision or God showed himself to him in a dream, and he told him that he was his apostle and that he was meant for great things and to lead people. So that's what he did. He established a church and he now went by Aaron. Oh, I don't. In 1964, Eusebio passes away and his son Joaquin Samuel takes over. So Joaquin Samuel was his older son, and he's in charge of taking over the church, and basically he is the new leader of the church. And by 1964 the church was already an international hit. It was not only located in Mexico, but I believe in the US and in other foreign countries. I don't know at the top of my head which ones, but I'll try to look into it. Now, in 1991, they start the plans to make additions to the already existing church, putting into construction what we now know as El Templo Sede. And so that's a temple, or I would say it's kind of like the headquarters of the church or the organization or the cult or whatever you want to call it. And that's where they're located in Guadalajara, Jalisco. When I tell you that this building is massive, it is freaking massive. Now, I try to look up the actual cost of this buildings because it's the biggest building in Latin America. So, for sure, it's in the freaking millions, right? And it was just really hard to find information, which I find very freaking weird. But anyways, we'll get into the building later. That's a whole nother kind of worms that we have to open. It is freaking insane. But yeah, in 2014, in 2014, Joaquin Samuel's son takes over. I believe it's because Samuel dies, so now his older son is Nason. A lot of people mention that they treat this kind of like a monarchy, like they feel like they're royalty, so like the oldest son always takes over or some shit. But yeah, so Nason takes over, and by then, I mean, the church just kept growing and growing. And when Nason takes over in 2014, he just manages to create an even bigger following. From 2014 to 2009, I believe he freaking tripled the number of followers, and he was just very. I don't even want to give him charismatic, but he was just very good at talking to people. That's probably what charismatic means, but I don't, whatever. We're gonna get into it right now. So, now this is just basic information. Again, the tip of the iceberg, but there's definitely a lot to cover, and I'm only gonna cover and the most recent allegations, the premise of some of the testimonies from ex cult members, and again, there's a lot to be said about the current church that's up right now in Guadalajara, Jalisco, the biggest church in Latin America. And so in 2019, a case was filed against Nason, and he was arrested. He was arrested, I believe, in June 3, 2009. And he was arrested for allegations, and I'm gonna read to you a little piece of the article from New York Times that basically kind of describes what happened and why he was arrested. It says the leader of La Luz del Mundo, a church with its headquarters in Mexico that claims to have more than 1 million followers worldwide, was charged Tuesday in Los Angeles with more than a dozen, including allegations that he forced children to have and made them post for photos. The authorities in California says, and in a 19-page complaint filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court on Tuesday, prosecutors said that there were four victims, three of whom were children. One child and a woman were. Prosecutors said that in the complaint, Mr. Garcia is also accused of human trafficking and forcing children to perform. One of the people told a group of girls that if they went against the desires of Mr. Garcia, they were going against God. According to the complaint, told to perform dances for Mr. Garcia, wearing as little clothing as possible. Um, and yeah, this is just kind of what we're dealing with. He is still in prison, and I feel like this is what makes this cult even more deranged, more sick. I feel like it makes it a little bit more morbid because it's easy to victim blame, right? But imagine how much pressure is placed on you to come forward, because you have to keep in mind that these four people that went against him in court, I'm pretty sure aren't the only ones, but these people were members of the church from generations down. So what happens when you're a member of the church from generations down, and then you try to go for something, you try to tell your story or say something that goes against Nason or the church? You basically get shunned and cut off from your family because they're so brainwashed from generations past that it doesn't matter what you think. They are literally programmed and taught that they have to love themselves and their families more than they have, less than what they have to love the leader. So this training starts right off the womb. They literally tell women that they have to they have to start teaching the baby and the stomach, and so they freaking record they record sermons, and they record songs, and they read the Bible to the baby. So it's just consistent brainwashing even from inside the womb. And so it's something so strong and so programmed that it's so hard to detach from that and kind of put your family first, and you get demonized, and again you lose all contact with attending family members that are still part of this cult, Garcia literally built an empire of passive income for years to come off of the backs of people that simply needed guidance. And look, the anti religion in me wants to be very hateful and take a very hateful approach towards these people that enabled abuse and till this day proudly call themselves sons and daughters of Aaron. But once I got past the disgust and the hatred, I couldn't help but feel sorry. I mean, you see cases like this and they make you feel like you need to keep a healthy distance from any type of church or place of worship, but I also feel like religion can do some good in certain instances, and I feel like it's not a completely horrible experience for a lot of people, right? So I feel like the main attraction towards religion is that they're looking for some type of spiritual connection um, with what you may consider creator, and it's very telling of our society. And I feel like it just says that it's deeply wounded, and amongst the atrocities in the world, some people are just in search of a god in a way to search for kindness as well, because they always paint him in such a beautiful positive light, and I get that, right? And I feel like whenever someone takes advantage of that sweet sentiment and turns it for profit and turns it for just, I don't know, children or women, like it becomes like 1,000 times more evil and deranged. Um, throughout the years, I learned to measure the quality of people, and this is kind of like this has been very helpful throughout my life. It's helped me pick up on a lot of red flags when it comes to people, and I it's easy to find people's intentions after spending some time with them. And one advice that I want to give you all is that uh, if you really want to get to know someone, notice the way they treat the weakest entities in our society. It doesn't necessarily apply to every single person you meet, but there's a lot that can be said about a person in the way they talk, interact with animals, elders, women, and children. La Luz del Mundo, without sugarcoating, is a big, big cancer in our society. And this can be said about many religions that economically, emotionally, and physically abuse their members. But even within those organizations, I feel like it's so rare to find them being so openly vocal and standing behind acts of human trafficking and other horrific acts against children, which they're literally issues that are the most concerning of our society, or that our society faces today, you know? And it's like you would think that it's just that, but it's way much bigger than that. And there are thousands of testimonies that I myself don't even feel comfortable discussing due to the brute nature of the events, but it will not take you long to find them, and with like a quick Google search, and I don't know. People are just brainwashed that they literally have framed pictures of the current and past leaders and ex cult like on their walls. And an ex cult member, I found her on TikTok. She was talking about the fact that the houses near the church in that province have pictures of the leader, and it looks like it's straight out of North Korea. So she looked up at their original Facebook pages, and a lot of the members due to the pandemic have uploaded pictures in their houses, and she found a good sum of houses that literally have a picture of this man and of the dad and the grandfather like framed up. It's the weirdest fucking thing ever. And listen, the people that live closest to the church, I feel like are the most brainwashed. And okay, so remember how I told you the temple was getting expansions and it started doing so in 1981? It started doing so with the money that they collected nationwide. And this temple is called El Templo Sede, and it is again the biggest temple in South America, and it is it is freaking insane. The amount of luxury in in that building, the infrastructure, it's very dark to say the least. And not only that, for many years there were a lot of rumors about tunnels under the building. According to an article from El País, mm, let me see. One of the ex-members of the cult that assisted Nassan states, "I have been in the tunnels and I can vouch for the fact that they exist," says Xochitl Martin, a former assistant to Nassan Joaquin, who reported him for multiple cases of sexual abuse. In that same underground network, another former collaborator, Alondra Ocampo, as a child, according to her lawyer. And it is said that everything was very symbolic. The reason for the tunnels was also to help Nason go from one place to the next without really being seen by the people or without being touched or bothered. Like, fucking audacity, man. Anyways, and this would also reinforce the idea that this guy was omnipotent. So fucking stupid. And another great point that I found when I was researching is this podcast. I found this through TikTok as well, but I dove in really deep into it, and I heard a couple of podcasts from ex members, but this one really caught my attention. And the name of the podcast is Here Giselle Podcast. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they point out the fact that the building was centered right in the middle of Hermosa Provincia, right in the middle of the province. And they also bring up the fact that a journalist who went to go gather information for about the church or from the church recounts in his experiences that as soon as he even entered the city, vigilantes were already questioning his presence in the province. Other people that recount the experiences inside the tunnels say that there are weapons and firearms in some sections of the tunnels, and it blows my mind. And I feel like this is very similar to Epstein in a way. I don't know. I feel like this is like legalized crime, you know? So he's facing charges, right? And people obviously defending him with tooth and nail, excusing the fact that he did these horrific things to children and that he was doing all these crazy things. And of course, this doesn't stop this massive cult. They're still running it, and he is still running it from prison, and he's still spreading the word about his cult. And it's freaking crazy, right? And you try to talk to a member about it, and they're like, no, it's a government conspiracy theory. There are ninja spies that planted all the evidence. No, it was the assistant's fault. And it's freaking insane, right? Like, if he's so great and if he's so perfect and if he's God's apostle, then why isn't he out? Why can't he fucking get himself out? And what's so sad is that these people are so brainwashed and so deranged that if he ends up in prison for life or that if he ends up dead, they're gonna try to find and they're gonna do mental gymnastics to compare him to Christ and God, and they're gonna be like, no, it's because Christ was crucified, so that's why he's suffering to for his sins. This happened to forgive. Like I don't know, some crazy wacko shit, and I don't know why places like this are tax exempt and are still able to operate. I don't understand how people in our society aren't constantly pressuring someone or doing something so that this cancer doesn't spread, because it's literally a cancer to our society. Like, it's a fucking giant tumor to our communities. And what's sad is that I look up the temple, right? Because I had seen this temple before and I knew it was a thing, but I never knew all the allegations and all the accusations and all the stories behind it. And I do a quick Google search, and the nearest temple, you know what? I don't want to lie. Let me go ahead and look it up. Uh Yeah. The nearest temple is 8 miles. And then there's another one that's around 11 miles away. The one that's 8 miles is in Reynosa. It's in Mexico. But I have another one that's 11 miles and it's literally right here. Like 10 minutes away from my house. And how they have the freaking, I don't know, it's not even vergüenza at this point. How they don't have the dignity or the embarrassment to not exist. I don't know. I don't know why people are still a part of this, and I don't know why this is still going if their leader is incarcerated, and it's disgusting. Like, you literally talk to members or ex-members, and that's all they talk about. They talk about the church, they talk about their leader, they talk about like their life in the church, and it's so dark and sick, and like it blows my mind that something this big, which I feel like this has potential to be equally as big as Epstein, doesn't have more public outrage. Like, where is the public outrage when it comes to these organizations and these churches living amongst our society? It's so sick and it's so deranged. And listen, I don't condone violence. I don't condone you attacking other people for their beliefs. If you know someone that goes to that church, either cut them off or try to like stay away from them, or point out the fact that they're enabling SA to minors. I don't know what to tell you, but just look at them in the nastiest, weirdest perspective. It is disgusting. It is so sad that this guy still has the ability to talk and spread his poison and spread his garbage and spread his negativity around the world. Like, nothing stops this man. And I mean, it's so strange, and a lot of ex cult members, they were saying that as soon as they were out, like it wasn't just the end of it, that they would send people to their homes to convince them to go back to church, and they would threaten them with their family never talking to them again and never seeing them again. And it's fucking weird. Like, it's so weird, and I can't even imagine living near that temple. Like, the and you're just like constantly being watched, right? They say that a lot of reports and a lot of news articles say that whenever he chooses his victims or the people that he wants to abuse, that he usually already has everything about you on file. He knows your family tree, your medical history, who you are, what you do, what you like what the fuck is that? It's so fucking weird. And there is an article where they were one of the ex cult members was recounting the story. It was the girl that's filing a lawsuit against him for all these things, the assistant, and she was saying that she was also in charge of recruiting. And I mean, again, back to Jeffrey Epstein. But yeah, she was in charge of recruiting, and she says that this piece of son of a would tell her that the smaller the better, because kids had that pure unconditional love towards him. And it's so disgusting. It's so fucking gross. I mean, as a mom, how can, I mean, I don't know, like how can you anything, bro? Like how can you be okay with leaving your small child with someone you don't really know and who doesn't give a fuck about you and who doesn't really have your best well-being in mind? Like, the like a lot of ex cult members, they say that they would ask questions like, well, how come if the leader loves us, why how come he doesn't come and see us? And he says that it's like so much mental manipulation that they off the bat tell you that you shouldn't ask questions. That if you ask any type of question about the leader, like it's bad, it's frowned upon, and that you shouldn't question the leader's desires because those are also the desires of God. Like, what? Like, okay, I understand the brainwashing and all of that, and to a certain degree it's like you want to feel sorry for these people, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of conflicting feelings because how the hell are you gonna believe in a God that desires kids? Like, can you fucking make it make sense? Can you break it down for me? Because it's not adding up. And it just, I don't know, it's just so sick. And then there are also a lot of testimonies about him being in foreign countries. I saw a testimony on one of the ex cult members. He says that Nason, he went to India and he would go to impoverished communities and he would bring iPads and phones and bring technology, and he would talk to them about this cult, right? And this ex member, he was saying, he was like, it wasn't necessarily that my people were gullible, but it's just that they weren't rude, so they would take the time to listen to him. And this is what I mean when I say that it's always good to treat people bad if they're inconveniencing you, or to just straight up say no. And that's something that I've learned the hard way over the years, because I used to be like that type of person that would feel sorry for people, and so I would give them the time of day. But I feel like it's just smarter to go with your gut, or if you're simply not interested, to not fake interest, because I feel like it gets you in a lot of situations that you don't know how to get yourself out of. So, yeah, I mean, he would go. These people were nice enough to listen to him. Obviously, they didn't have a lot of financial opportunities as people from the US would or did, or as some like a freaking multimillionaire like him would. Obviously, it was flashy, and they would see videos of El Templo Sede in the province, and it was beautiful and it was lit up at night. So I mean, these people, to after getting past the boredom and the bullshit, they were kind of taken back a little. You know, it was something new that they'd never seen. And this is what I mean when I say this is a cancer. When, right a little bit before Nason was arrested, he was already talking to a lot of leaders in India that wanted to help him spread his message and open the church, not necessarily because they cared about the people, but because they saw the amount of income that this church was bringing in. They didn't really care about any of the teachings of the church, they just saw the money and they saw the opportunity. So this is, I mean, we're already starting off in the wrong foot, right? Like, you're wanting to open a church not to help, not for the benefit of the people, but because you've seen the type of income it brings in. And it is freaking sickening. And I'm glad he got arrested just in time, because they were about to open a lot of locations in India. I don't know if him being in prison stopped them. They have a lot of money and a lot of power, and it's just, it's very dark. Another thing that I wanted to touch on was that a lot of people don't discuss this, but they say that the reason why he's in prison now is because he was kind of like ratted out by someone close to him in the family that didn't want him to have control and was jealous of the amount of income that was coming in and all of that, which is, I mean, all of that is just, there's a lot of things that people used to talk about in the down low, and that people used to brush off as conspiracies, like the tunnels. But now there's multiple accounts of people that have seen him appear in one place and then appear in the other one the next, like just randomly. and they've confirmed the existence of these tunnels, and it's like, what else are they hiding if they're being charged for human trafficking? And why is Nason the only guy in prison? Like, is he gonna talk? Is he gonna say something? Because this is trafficking ring. I like allegedly, but I'm sure that that guy isn't the only person involved in all of these things, and it's so disgusting. And I'm gonna put a picture up of him. And I don't know. I feel so bad for these people, but if you fall for like a fucking nasty looking ass man like this one, like it just, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I usually don't like to make fun of physical appearances, but this guy just looks like such a fucking pig to me. He just looks so nasty. Like, he looks like he's rotting from the inside out, if that's the best way to describe it. And it's so sad because money doesn't buy you looks or class sometimes, and it's just disgusting. I hate to look at him. I don't know. It makes me so angry, so angry, and I still don't know why these churches are still eating off of the people. Why are they still feeding off of gullible people? This is literally legalized organized crime. Why are they getting tax exempt? Like, why? I don't understand. And if you ever come across one of these churches again, you better run as fast as you can the opposite way, because you do not want to associate with people and things like these. So gross. I feel like the most sacred thing in our society are children, and we have to protect them, and we have to protect their aura, and we have to protect their energy, and we have to just protect their environment as a whole. Like, just imagine all the psychological damage you put a child through when they know nothing about the world but their religion. Like, it, they're never gonna be able to make decisions for themselves, and they're gonna have people constantly making decisions for them. And it's so sick. I don't know. Like, I understand if you had a positive experience with religion, and I'm definitely not trying to take that away from you, but I also feel like there's a fine line between going to church every Wednesday and Sunday than being there. Like, it should be a part of your lifestyle, but it shouldn't be a lifestyle. And I don't know, I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in these things because you're fed so much like false dopamine and like false happiness and a false sense of love for someone you don't even know and you haven't even met. And I'm not referring to God, I'm referring to people like these pigs. But yeah, anyways, this is pretty much it for today. This doesn't really have a conclusion. We're still looking at the trial. I haven't. Let me see. Okay, so the most recent thing I could find, an article again from the New York LA Times, sorry, and I'm gonna read it to you. It's very brief, and it says the trial of Nason Joaquin Garcia, the head of La Luz del Mundo Church, who is charged with sexually abusing girls from his congregation, has been postponed to May. On Friday, Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Ronald S. Cohen granted a request by Garcia's attorney to delay the trial, which has been scheduled to start this month. Garcia's defense lawyers argued they needed time to review more than 1,600 pages of material they said state prosecutors recently handed over to them. They also raised concerns that jurors would be unable to assess witness credibility if they testify wearing masks, which are currently required under the court's pandemic rules. So his lawyers, they made a request to postpone the trial, which they did, and it's going to be in May. So I'm going to be following up closely, and I definitely will be coming back to this and covering it in May. So be looking out for that. But yeah, this concludes this video. Thank you for sticking around. If you have anything you need to say or need to add to the conversation, please feel free to do so. And yeah, just what do you think about this church? What do you think um about the things I've told you about it? I mean, again, if you definitely have time or if this topic interests you, I really do urge you to do your own research because there is a lot from podcasts to testimonies to just people talking about it, but I feel like it's not discussed enough. And the fact that they're still out there, man, the fact that they are okay with publicly coming out and supporting this type of crap really bothers me, and I feel like there should be no place in our society for this. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, of your week. Go outside, touch some grass, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.